Well, I'm in my 6th month of self-quarantine. Ever since I got back from the Caribbean and that princess ship was sort of impounded or whatever, quarantined, I've been reluctant to go out, mainly because of my age, general overall health, and probably devout cowardness, who the hell knows. Anyway, during this period of time I've gone through a lot of material from the early days when I first started. A few years ago, I was interviewed by Chris Wogan, who also photographed or videographed what I said regarding starting out when I first got interested into the politics of drug policy. I've always taken the position that I've not been a drug lawyer. I've been a constitutional lawyer and also a political theorist. I wrote a text for a sociology of law course. I taught a 40-hour continuing legal education course on surviving a criminal law practice in a postmodern society. I view myself as a postmodernist, and I don't look at individual psychological profiles and shit like that. I think that climate, environment has much more effect on things. For instance, in the 30s, sociologists came up with the concentric ring theory, where they showed that crime rates changed in certain zones, crime rate maintained in certain zones. It didn't change no matter what ethnic group moved in. I've always thought crime was more a function of economics and a function of class structure and social structure. It used to infuriate me when a jackass judge would say, "Mr. Smith, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, etc., and take responsibility for your actions," when any dipshit knows that the actions were the effect of his environment and government neglect of his people for decades. But we blame it on the individual rather than on ourselves. It's cheaper that way, I guess. In any event, I've always been interested in drug policy, and policy is a way of social control and various other things. I first uncovered a CIA operation smuggling drugs from Tan Son Nhut, Vietnam to Travis Air Force Base. I've been following the CIA activity ever since with their activities. In any event, when I first got out of law school, I was appointed to some committees. I worked with Health, Education, and Welfare Department when Lyndon Johnson was president. Lyndon lost. While he was president, I helped form the Head Start program in Boulder. I helped form a community free school in Boulder and various other enterprises. I was appointed to a committee to accredit drug treatment programs by Peter Dominic, and there was a bunch of us worked on that. And we worked pretty hard coming up with accreditations for drug policy, where the model was that of a medical model. Well, we got our grants and things like this. All of a sudden, Nixon gets elected. What happens next? Our money gets impounded and it gets shifted. And a new agency called Law Enforcement Assistance Agency was formed. And with the stroke of a pen, drug policy went from a medical model to a law enforcement model. And compliance was a matter of law enforcement policy. It then went on to control people. It went on to allow the government to market fear, like Procter & Gamble markets soap. It allowed the government to destroy a social movement and social cohesiveness and rip a youth culture asunder. So I've been interviewed about that several times since then, and I thought, well, I'd post an old one, hoping to see if I got any attention. And if I do, I'd like to hear from everybody on the pertinence of what I said 2 decades ago regarding the situation now. So I am publishing one of my series on drug policy lectures. I hope you enjoy it. I'd like to get your feedback and would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.